Glad to have you with us here on this Thursday night. We welcome you into the Baylor Coaches Show from a different location. We are coming to you from Hires Simpson Athletic Center. Due to storms that went through the area, we are not emanating from Rudy's tonight. They are without power and closed, so we hope they get back online shortly. But glad to be with you here on this Thursday evening. I'm Derek Smith, in for the voice of the Bears, John Morris. We are going to be talking women's golf in the first half hour and then men's tennis in the second half hour. And we are joined by women's golf assistant Maddie Caruana making her Coaches Show debut. Maddie, it's good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Well, there's a lot to talk about with women's golf right now. Yesterday, the selection show, so we now know that the women's golf is going to be playing in the Norman Regional starting on May 5th. A lot to talk about, but I got to ask you, we're all pivoting today, right? The storms came through, so we are not at Rudy's, as I mentioned. The fact that Jay Goebel was going to be on with us tonight, and he last minute had some issues he had to take care of. So you have jumped on for the first time making your Coaches Show debut. So have you done this before? Is this a new one for you?
This is completely new to me. It's my second year coaching, so I'm, it's okay to make yourself uncomfortable sometimes. So
got to stretch yourself a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's a topic you know well, talking
Yes,
golf and
easy.
this team and an exciting time. But I have to ask you real quick. You were starting to tell us, I think, when the storms came through today, you were out on the golf course?
Yes, so we had scheduled two tee times for our girls today. They were having a little fun match, 2v2. And literally they were warming up in the rain, and we saw the clouds coming in, and they started, and one of our girls birdied the first two holes, and that's all they got in. So
It was a good start anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the other team was 2 down, but one of our players, Celia, she just got a new putter, and she made 2 birdies on the first hole. So she's pretty pumped about
So
that.
she's feeling good.
Yes.
She had a good day for sure. Yeah,
Yes.
the storm kicked up pretty quickly here
It was crazy.
this afternoon.
The fairway was flooded. So
Well, we have Bob Baker in here who helps take care of things over there at the Billies, so I'm sure he'll be busy tomorrow. But Maddie, second-year coaching, first year here at Baylor, and obviously a pretty exciting time because the regular season is over, the Big 12 tournament's over, and the postseason looms. Let me just start off your first impressions when you heard your name called yesterday and saw that women's golf is going to be headed to Norman, Oklahoma, the Norman Regional.
We were very excited. I mean, this is what we work for all year, is to get to postseason. So I know the girls are kind of relieved a little bit because it kind of feels like a fresh start because of the new 500 rule. So that was a little daunting going into Big 12s, and now that's over. It's like we get a whole new start to the season, and the girls are ready, excited, and confident, and that's honestly the place we wanted to be, so we're pumped.
That's great. Well, it's exciting to be playing. This team has made the postseason with regularity under Coach Jay Goebel. You mentioned the new 500 rule. What should people know about that?
So basically the new 500 rule means that to get into postseason, you have to have more wins than losses. So the whole year you're being counted on how many wins and losses you have against the whole field. So we were going into the Big 12s, we had more wins and losses, but we had to place 11th at Big 12s, and actually we finished on the number. So
wow.
Thank God we made it.
You made it.
You know what? Doesn't matter how we get there, but we're just excited to play regionals, and our team is at a good spot, and I think this is the time that you peak, and everybody's very confident working on their games, and I believe in these girls, and I know Jay does too.
Number 7 seed, is that about where you expected to be seated, or is that just kind of one of those things you don't worry about?
I don't think we really worry about the rankings. I mean, they're all numbers, but I think it's every team, it's for golf, it's how you play that week. It doesn't matter what you're ranked. You could have an amazing week, and that's the great thing about golf and the annoying thing about golf sometimes. So I think the girls are just going in with a fresh mind and, just trying their hardest always. So I think that's all we can do.
You look at this team, 8 straight years they've made the tournament, 12 of 13 possible years under Jay Goebel. So it's certainly a program that's been in this spot regularly. Every team is different, especially in this day and age. But how well prepared do you feel like this team is going into postseason for what's ahead?
I think they're very well prepared. Something that we've really been honing in on this year is wedges and short game. We have a team full of great ball strikers. It is unbelievable. That's something I struggled with in pro golf, and I just think, Jay and I both have our own tips that we can give the girls to just tighten up the short game a little bit that I think we've been really working on, and we've seen it improve over the whole year this year. So we're really excited for that, and playing a lot, just keeping that competitive with match play today. Like, we try to keep them always competing and pushing themselves to be the best. So we're very excited, and I think, and just going in with a good mental state. I think that's what people overlook a lot of the time, is just being confident and believing in yourself, because we can say that we believe in you, but the players need to believe it. So.
Visiting with Maddie Caruana here on the Baylor Coaches Show. And let me ask you, Maddie, you talk about the players being confident. Now that you're at the end of the regular season, you get a sense of really who this team is. So let me ask you that. Who are they? What's the character of this year's team?
I think this year's team is very strong. I think the team chemistry is awesome. I think that's what builds a team, because no matter what, there's going to be highs and lows. And your team is what gets you through that. It's a second family. You lean on them. You count on them for accountability. Hey, I don't feel like practicing today, but can you go with me and push me to be better? And I think that's something they all do for each other. Is when they have a bad day, they comfort each other. When one person wins a tournament, they cheer each other on. And I think the thing is you want a team that's always going to have your back. And I think that is a big part of winning and being a good team, is having that team chemistry, because it's huge.
Obviously, that's something that builds over time. Some teams probably start at a different place than others do, but how much of a work in progress was that this year? Was this a team that had great chemistry right away, or did it grow? Or both?
Yeah, I think, there's a lot. We only have 2 new freshmen. So, those are 2 new add-ins, but I think before that we had good team chemistry. But I think what's crazy about our team is how diverse it is. So many internationals. We have, Norway, Korea, Thailand, Argentina, Americans, and that alone, and 9 girls in general, is hard to mesh sometimes. And, I'm not saying they all have to be best friends, but you have to be a good teammate. And I think that's huge. And I think these girls have really done that, with team dinners, practice together. I try to do as much as I can as a coach to, make that for them as well. Like, hey guys, you should go do this tonight, because that's what my team did in college or whatever, But I think that is just really special, and I think it grows as you go through the season too. You go through hard times together, you go through wins together, and I think that really bonds a team. And I think this postseason, we need to just keep doing that and cheer each other on all the way.
Talking women's golf with Maddie Caruana. And Maddie, let me ask you, going back specifically to the Norman Regional, 12 teams total. So there's 11 others besides Baylor, and you've seen them, quite a few of them before. In fact, you are 7-4 against the field. You don't have to go through every match, but broadly, what are some of the things you've taken away from your experiences against some of these teams that you're going to be facing once again potentially?
Duke is a big one that sticks in my head, because at UCF we were, leading going into the last day, and honestly, I didn't think it was going to be as much of a fight as it was at the end, and we just went head to head at the end. It was going back and forth. So, these are some great teams, but I think we are capable of beating them. So that was one that stuck in my head. We did play Duke there. We also played North Carolina there, Tulsa. So we've played a lot of these teams a lot. We played also Folds of Honor. We played, I think, North Carolina and Tulsa as well. I think it's just about not even focusing on the other teams. Focus on ourselves. Jay always says, control what we can control. And to the players, control what you can control. You can control yourself, and how you play against this golf course. We try not to let all the outside noise get in. We're just focusing on ourselves, focusing on our process, focus on our routine, and just keep that consistent. I think that's the biggest thing. We have a mental coach, and he says to the girls, no matter what, if you're having success or you're having failures, keep your routine the same. So I think that's the biggest thing I'm trying to implement with our team in postseason, is no matter what, even though it's postseason and it's a little bit higher of a tournament, don't change your routine. Keep your same mindset. Play the golf course and play for yourself. Remember why you started golf. Make it fun. It's not all about, beating everybody. It's about you going out there doing what you can do.
Well, your team has done that in a lot of big meets this year, a lot of big matchups. I want to ask you, you mentioned playing the course.
Mm-hmm.
There's a connection, isn't there, between Baylor and Oklahoma, right?
Yes.
Is it designed by the same?
It is. So the redo of Ridgewood Country Club, which is our home course, and then what's it called? Jimmy Austin.
Mm-hmm.
So they got redone at the same time by Chet Williams. So we're hoping that will be in our favor. So I think that will be well. Like, I know our girls do well on bent grass greens, and Oklahoma is known for that. I grew up out there, and I've played this golf course multiple times. So I'm really excited for the girls to play on it. I think this will be an advantage for us, and I think, we just go out there and focus on the course, and during our practice round, do all that we can to take the notes we need to take and go around the course and just do our best.
Now, you mentioned, Maddie, you're from Oklahoma. Let's switch gears here a little bit and meet you. Your first year here at Baylor, and you have a connection that goes back with Jay Goebel, who's now your boss and you're the head coach of this program that goes back quite a ways. When did you first meet Coach Goebel, and what was the situation?
So I was just a baby. No, I'm just kidding. I was in high school, and I was going through my own recruiting process. I was probably 16, 17, and I think it was like 2014 that we had been emailing, and I decided to come on a visit, and my whole family came, even my little sister. I remember him being so nice to her, and I came here, and it just kind of is full circle now. It's funny how you come to this place, and it has changed immensely. Like, I was saying, like, the practice facility that we have now, the Billy, it's unbelievable. It is what is truly going to make our girls better, and we're so thankful for all the donors that have, allowed us to make this place for our girls, because that we wouldn't be at the level we're at without it.
So he recruited you, and now you've come back. So he successfully recruited you this time
Yes,
to come be an assistant coach here with the program. What was it that led you here for this specific opportunity last year?
So the school I was coaching at before was going through some coaching transition changes, and he called me up one day, and he was like, "Hey, I need a new assistant," and I was like, "Okay." And we had made bonds from my recruiting journey to seeing him during college golf, playing in tournaments with them, and I know a lot of his past players, and then coaching last year, getting to know him on a different level as a coach instead of just, I'm the player, he's the coach. So it's been really fun getting to know him. But then he was like, "Hey, like, I don't have a lot of experience because I'm only 2 years in, but I have a lot of golf experience." So he did take a chance on me, and I'm just so grateful. And he's like, "We'd love to have you in Waco. I think you would be a great addition to the team, and we work really well together." And I was like, "You know what? I'm coming to Waco."
That's good. Sick and Bears, that's right. Glad to have you here.
Yes.
Visiting with Maddie Caruana on the program. And Maddie, tell us about him as a boss. What stands out to you the way he leads the program? Obviously, it's had a lot of success under Coach Goebel. Why do you think that's the case?
I feel like he's a man that is very patient and very understanding. I think with women's golf in general, there's a lot of emotions. Girls, we're a little bit more emotional, but he has really grown into that role of, hearing our emotions, listening, and, trying to figure out the best way to move forward. And I think that is huge in a coach. Is not every player can be talked to the same. You have to know your players. You have to – each individual is different. We have 9 girls on the team from 9 different places. Like, everybody needs a different approach to their coaching style. And I think he's done a great job at that. And the knowledge of the game, too, it's unbelievable. I just, sometimes sit back and I just listen. And I don't know if he knows that, but I'm sitting there learning every day from him and, his wisdom of, he's been coaching for, I think, 26 years. And it's just unbelievable to me. So, and he's won he's got second at national championship.
Been right there, yeah.
So, he has so much for me to learn from him, and I think every day he teaches me something new, and as a new coach, you're going to make mistakes, and, he tells me when I do, and, that's how I learn. And he's just been a great boss, and he's fun, and he's a friend, and he's just a good person all around.
Well, hopefully you and he can add that national title to the
Yes,
resumes
that's
together
right.
here pretty soon as we visit with Maddie Caruana talking women's golf on the program. By the way, you notice we're in a different spot tonight. We are not at Rudy's. We are coming to you from the Players Lounge at the Higher Simpson Athletic Center here this evening. Storms move through the area. They are Rudy's is closed tonight without power, but hopefully you can get back out there soon and enjoy some real Texas barbecue. We are brought to you, as always, by Central National Bank. Central National Bank, your leading independent bank. By the way, it's not, here the setup's a little bit different, but we got a great team here tonight. Robert Gupton and Brent Grooms from Baylor Bears Sports Properties, making sure we're on the air, and Bob Baker, our engineer. Brent is our producer. Robert is, I don't know what Robert's title is in all this, but Robert is a advisor to the program, and Bob Baker is always our engineer. Bob works at the Billy, making the course look great. Yep, he and Joe Tadero and the team, so some crossover
it's
here.
A lot of work, so we're thankful for sure.
Absolutely. I don't know. I know you got a lot of rain today, so Bob
might have some work.
Might have a little extra work if you head back in tomorrow morning. Visiting with Maddie Caruana from Baylor Women's Golf. The selection show yesterday determined that the team is heading to Norman May 5th through 7th for the Norman Regional, coming off of a Big 12 tournament run. And, you went in there knowing that you mentioned you needed to finish in 11th place, and you did. I know 11th wasn't your goal, but also you had a level you had to hit, and you did so. So a few days after that, what's kind of your assessment of the way the team played, and what are some things you can take away from that, either for improvement or to say, hey, do more of that as you head into Norman?
Yeah, I think what, Jay and I also touched on was the golf course, Houston Oaks, was very difficult. You had to be really great off the tee, and chipping and short game around the greens was tough. So I think, one thing our girls do well is off the tee. We can lap the field off the tee, and I feel like our tee shots that week were good, and it's just course management out there, because it was a lot of not hitting driver off the tee, because there's a lot of dog legs and everything. And, Aisling Core came out and shot 1 over the first day, and that was huge for our team. And, there was by my SEMA making birdie twice on number 9, which is a daunting hole. It's a par 3, water on the right, straight into the wind, or left to right wind into the water, So, and you're hitting a 5-iron into this hole. So it was amazing to see. I mean, she clutched up the last 2 days and made 2 birdies in a row on that hole, so that was huge. I did walk with Celia the first day. I think she struck the ball great. We just needed some more birdies to fall in. But she has been a huge part of this team this year, leading. I think she has our lowest scoring average on the team of a 73.1. So she's been a huge asset to our team. And then Sarah Hasagawa, our senior, she's always been our rock throughout the year. So it was a great week out there. I think we didn't play our best, and but we find the positives and the things that we need to work on, and I think we just move on. It's a new start. Nothing adds up after this. We go to regionals. It's a fresh start. Everybody starts at 0. So, and I think that's what the girls just need to take away. And each player does stats during the round. So even if they think it's their putting, but it's actually their chipping or whatever it is, I think they all know. Me and Jay set up individual meetings and tell them what to work on. And we set up practice this week. We worked on wedges, we worked on chipping, we worked on putting. So it's really individualized, because not everybody needs to work on the same thing.
Makes sense, yeah.
But I think going forward, they're at Baylor for a reason, and they know what they need to work on, and they'll get it done.
Absolutely. What are some of the stages this year, as you look to kind of find some of the real superlatives? What are some of the stages that have brought out the best in your team this year?
Like places that
places, meets, or just even situations. You mentioned, obviously, off the tee is one area the team excels. Yeah.
Yes, I think so. Places-wise, we've placed top 5 in 5 of our events. So I think Folds of Honor was our first event of this year, and that course was pristine. It was in Michigan, bent grass greens, everything was beautiful. And our team played well out there. I think we placed fourth. You know, I think everybody on our team played pretty well out there, which was really nice to see. And I think when the greens are a little bit more fast, I think our team really excels, because on fast greens, in my opinion, if you take the right stroke, it's going to roll on the line, the whole time. But if you don't take the right stroke, immediately. So I think our girls, their strokes are good, and I just think it's about that pure roll that I think they really excel on. And that one was also, you had to have good tee balls. So, and then we did play really well at UCLA was also another one that we played well on. We got second at that event.
Great.
And I think that course was a lot of wedges, which our team has been working on. So that made, us coaches feel good about what we were working on, because it's working.
That's good.
It's improving. So we played really well there. Celia finished with a birdie there to clinch the second place for us. So that was awesome. And then, we had a win this year at UCF. I think we shot 30 under. So, and that was a lot of wedges. And we had a new freshman in the lineup for that. She actually got here in January. So
it's crazy.
It was the second event of the year, of the semester. So
dove right in.
Yeah. She was like, ready to go. Here we go. And, as a team, that winning a tournament is the best feeling ever.
Imagine.
And like I said, it was back and forth with Duke a little bit at the end. So it was a little nerve-wracking, but we got it done. And the new freshman score counted, and, that's exciting, when you bring in a freshman and she does well, and it feels good for them too, because they've contributed to the team. So we're really proud of them at UCF, and it was a good confidence boost for the rest of the year, and I know we can just keep peaking and keep going that direction.
Let me ask you, Maddie, about some of the players on the team for fans who don't know. And I know if I ask you about some, I'm going to leave people important out. But we'll dive in anyway. You mentioned Celia. Tell us a little bit about her, beyond obviously stepping in and playing well.
So Celia Oma is a junior at Baylor, and she's from Norway. And it's probably the player I know best, because I walk with her a lot of the time. So when we're in tournaments, I walk the full round with her, and, she's just the sweetest person you'll ever meet. But she kills the ball. I mean, she hits it 280 for a woman. That's really far.
Wow.
So it's crazy how far she hits it, and how much, what's the word I'm looking for? She has poise on the golf course. Yeah. I feel like her emotions never get too high or never get too low. I think one of the best moments on the golf course that we had was, I was talking to her about me walking with another player at my past school and making a huge long putt or something like that, and how excited we were. And then she would get to her ball in the fairway, and she shoots it. She has a wedge. I think it was like 110, and she hits it. I'm like, that looks good. I was like, be good, be good. And she holds it for eagle.
Oh, nice.
And we both look at each other, and we're like, like jumping around in the fairway, and Baimai's behind us, and she's like, what are you guys doing?
That's good.
But it's just little things like that are really exciting.
Yeah. You mentioned Baimai, a senior. Baimai Sima, a senior on the team. Her experience, what does that bring to the program?
I think that brings a lot for us. I mean, having 3 years under your belt, we do rely on that. She is one of our team captains. Her and Sarah Hasegawa are both of our team captains. So we really rely on them to kind of be our rocks, throughout the year. And I know that's a lot for them, but I think they can handle it, because they've earned our trust. And they have worked their butts off for 4 years. It's exciting. And I think with her, she brings such a light to the team. She always has a smile. She's confident. Even when she's not playing her best, she walks with a stride of, I'm never going to give up, And I think that's what the team needs and looks up to. And I think that is huge for our team. And I think she is going to be very missed. But, she has come in clutch the past couple of tournaments with some of her finishing rounds.
What about Ashlyn Court? Number one is a sophomore, of course, great family background. Her sister, Gurleen, All-American here at Baylor, and now a pro golfer as well. Tell us a little bit about her game.
Yes, so I've known Ashleen forever because I grew up in Houston and I played with her sister in high school. So she is amazing. Her family's amazing, and with her, I think the best part of her game is ball striking. Her driver, she doesn't even have to look at it. She puts the tee in the ground, she pounds it, and she knows it's down the middle. She just, like, it's the quick pickup. You know, you're like, okay, it's down the middle. We can leave, you know.
Good to go.
Yeah. And I think that is huge. And she has a very, very competitive spirit, which I think for golf is huge. It's very helpful, and it gets her to grind, you know, through her rounds. You know, golf doesn't always go your way, and it gets frustrating sometimes, but she just keeps grinding it out, and she's a huge competitor, and I think, you know, she does care a lot. So I think that's a huge part of, you know, Ashleen and her contributing to the team.
You know, a player who actually tied with Ashleen there in Hockley at the Big 12 was Sarah Hasegawa.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about her.
Sarah is a senior as well. She's another one of the team captains. She's from Japan, and you know, she's an amazing golfer. She has had a really low, I think she's also 73.2 scoring average. So she is an amazing golfer. She's very steady, consistent, and I think over the year, I mean, even in the fall, like, we don't even have to think about Sarah Hasegawa. She's in the zone, she's doing her thing, and she's like, just let me be, you know.
That's fair, yeah.
And, you know, we love that. We want we want independence, you know. It's good for her, and she's just a person who, she cracks me up on the daily. You know, she is funny, she's a leader, and she's a great golfer. I mean, that's all a coach can ask for, is triple threat.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting to have her, and we're going to miss her a lot.
Low maintenance, it sounds like. Yes, that's good.
She's got it covered.
That's good. We're visiting with Maddie Caruana, and boy, we're kind of heading into the final few minutes of our time together here. So let's talk again about what's ahead. I know we talked about it at the top of the program, but the Norman Regional, May 5th through the 7th. It's a turning of the page, blank slate, if you will, heading into this. You know, what are you most excited about? Obviously, the chance to win, the chance to advance. But as you see this team compete on that stage, what are you most intrigued, what are you most excited to see?
I'm just excited to see some good golf. I think, you know, we've had our ups and downs through the season, but I think this could be a huge confidence booster going into nationals. I truly believe we will make it to nationals, because I know this team, and I know their work ethic, and they are capable. I just think every person has to do their job and focus on what they can control, and I think that's all we need, and I think this course is going to set up great for us. I mean, I've played it multiple times, and I loved it, so I think it will be kind of go back and see all the memories that I had growing up there, and, you know, spread my knowledge to the girls, and, you know, we're gonna dig deep on that practice round and find all the spots we need to be, where we don't need to be, and, you know, just really prepare. I think preparation is key, and I think if we go in prepared, they're going to feel confident and do what they need to do to get the job done.
Get some victories and advance on in the postseason. Well, Maddie, appreciate it. We're going to wish you all best of luck. Excited to see what's ahead there in Norman. And by the way, great job. A last-minute pinch hitter for your boss,
Yes.
Coach Goebel, Jay Goebel. He owes you a little something, right, for stepping in there.
Hold it on him.
Yep, for sure. No, well, great job. We'll look forward to visiting with you again and seeing how the team does up there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Maddie Caruana from Baylor Women's Golf, our guest on the Baylor Coaches Show. We are presented by Central National Bank. Central National Bank, your leading independent bank. Normally we'd be at Rudy's, proud sponsor Baylor Athletics. Be sure to stop by your local Rudy's or Rudy's.com for some real Texas barbecue. Enjoy 100% oak smoked meats, delicious sides, and Rudy's signature sauce. Don't forget, Rudy serves breakfast tacos every day until 10 a.m. So you didn't get the barbecue tonight, but next time. Next time, absolutely. Well, Maddie, thank you so much.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it. Maddie Caruana, our first guest here on the Baylor Coaches Show. We are going to talk Baylor men's tennis next as Coach Michael Woodson makes his way over here. The Big 12 tournament is over. The selection show is coming up on Monday. It's an exciting time of year for women's golf, exciting time of year for men's tennis, really just for spring sports in general here as we get ready to visit with Coach Woodson. By the way, we got to say thanks once again to Brent Grooms and Robert Gupton of Baylor Bear Sports Properties for the last-minute pivot here. And Coach Woodson, I assume you like players who can adapt to changing circumstances, make the best of them when you're throwing a curveball at the last minute. That's what these guys have done here, and Bob Baker as well.
No, for sure. Heck of an effort to pull this off so fast. And so, yes, you definitely need to be able to adapt and change at any moment.
I mean, easier stroll over for you, I guess. Although it's always great to be at Rudy's. We'll look forward to that next time.
I'm missing the barbecue right now. I may have to stop by.
You may have to stop by. Well, we don't know. They might be open now. They might be closed. They lost power today, so hopefully
check it out.
Drive by and give them a little business. We appreciate their support of the program. Well, Coach, it's good to have you here with us again. We got a visit about a month ago, and boy, it just it keeps on rolling. The Big 12 tournament is over here. Another successful hosting of the Big 12 championships here in Waco. The selection show on Monday, and then the postseason looms. So just want to start off by asking you right now, how are y'all making the most of this time as you kind of get ready for what's ahead, a stage on which this team has performed so well in the past?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, you've got to find that balance of giving them some time to rest. There's, from the very beginning of the year all the way until now, there's really never a free weekend. And so for us, really find an opportunity to give them a few days to just step away from the tennis court, to get out of to the Herd Center. It's really hard to get them out, to take a little break.
You like that as a coach?
Yeah, I do. I love how much they want to be around and how much they want to be together, and just always looking for ways to fellowship and then also to improve themselves. But just to take a little mental break. So we've been able to give them a few days there, and then this is also an opportunity the back half of this week to really push them, knowing that they don't have to compete this weekend. So we're doing some team building stuff. We're going to do some community service. We're doing some individual work on the court. Some great work on the court and in the gym with our strength and conditioning staff. And so try to get the mental break, but then push for a few days, and then understanding that once we find out where we're either if we're going to host on Monday or if we're going to be traveling, we kind of lock in on getting ready to compete again.
Yeah, the selection show on Monday, and obviously we know that there's going to be postseason tennis here with the Tennis Nationals being held in May. Obviously, no stranger to hosting big events here, lots of regionals, lots of Big 12 tournaments, but just curious as you think about, just pulling off something like a Big 12 championship and a national championships here, how great of a trial run was that for everyone? How did everything go just hosting all these different teams here in Waco and making it a great event?
We've hosted so many things this year. It's really been an amazing effort. Jackie Haddock is just next level as a director of operations, is just, kind of the head honcho of the Herd Tennis Center. And I don't think any of this is possible without her. The incredible support from our administration. I mean, Kenny Boyd's been amazing at heading it up, and just the boots on the ground. Sierra Gresham, Josie Hutton, Colin Pirtle, Max Goches, Sarah Defabach. I mean, they've been awesome, really. And it's cool. I mean, we're biased. We're Baylor. We're hosting it. Like, it's always nice for us. Yeah. But to hear from the Big 12 officials, to hear from all the different coaches saying just this is the best run event they've ever been a part of because of the people. It is an unbelievable facility. We had good weather. Everything went very smoothly. But the people really do make the difference. And we have special people here at Baylor. And so I think it went really well. We've obviously had a couple of opportunities early in the year with the NCAA individual championships and then the national indoor team event on the men's side. But we had 25 teams here, 16 on the women's side and 9 on the men's side. So it was a lot. And even just being able to partner with the Waco Regional Tennis Center, just their attention to detail, getting the courts resurfaced to match ours, man, it's not a small deal. Yeah. And to have those opportunities, I think that will also pay dividends when we move into the national championships. It really feels like we've done it right. And it was unfortunate that both of our teams we had good wins, we had exciting wins, we lost some really heartbreaking matches in the semis. But so would have loved to have seen some finalists from us or to play for the championship. But I thought it was really well done, and super proud of everybody that was involved.
A great team effort for sure, and more to come here. I think people know Waco and Baylor in the college tennis world, and it's going to shine. It's going to shine again here in May for sure.
Absolutely.
Visiting with Coach Michael Woodson here on the Baylor Coaches Show. So let's start off really broadly here. You all have been tested with a tough schedule, a top 20 schedule in the nation. The Big 12's always good. Broadly, how would you describe the season as it's kind of prepared you for what's ahead, turning the page into postseason?
Yeah, I mean, we've taken some really great steps moving from the past year to this year. We're very clearly one of the best 15 teams in the country. We've lost one tough match to Arizona State that's not a top 10 team.
And you got them back the very next match.
We've beaten them handily 4-0 the next 2 times we played them. And so outside of that, we have legitimately not lost to a team outside the top 10, not once. So we have 9 losses to top 10 teams.
Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot of top 10 games for starters.
Say top 20 schedule in the country. We have the number 1 schedule in the country, with just the way it broke out. And that's exactly what we want here. And unfortunately, a couple of those close matches didn't go our way. I think we let a couple slip out of our hands. The match against Arizona was no different there, but we've continued to get up off the mat. When we get hit, and knocked down, our guys are getting up. They're working harder. They're improving. They're understanding where they fell short, and they're looking to make positive change together. And so I'm really encouraged by that. I know our ranking is probably not quite where we want it to be, where we know for sure we're going to host, where we're comfortable. We might have to go somewhere where it's hard, to get out of that regional. But this team is not going to be a stranger to whoever we have to play, to high-level competition. And I think we're knocking on the door of getting over the hump against a top 5 team. And I'm just hopeful that they can do it this year, because I know as we move forward, like the bones on this team is national championship caliber as we move into the future years. But this team deserves to do it now, and so I'm excited to see if they can.
Well, they've obviously, as you said, been tested. So I'm curious, this team, to be tested with a schedule like that, you got to kind of, I guess you don't always know how they're going to handle it, but you have a sense how they can handle it. How is this team, what have you seen in them, the way they've adapted, embraced that challenge, and the way they've grown from it?
They're just not shying away from hard, and I think that takes a collective effort. You have groups of guys that or girls and teams that really like each other, but when things get hard, are they going to hold each other accountable? Are they going to hold the mirror up to each other and say, hey, this is what it really looks like right now. Don't tell yourself anything else. When it gets difficult, it takes really, truly strong bonds to actually want to get in there and give hard truths to each other. And the coaches are always willing to say it or going to tell you, but you're going to learn a lot more and be much more willing to listen to your brother, your teammate, your roommate, somebody that you're spending all of your time with that truly cares about you for more than just wanting to win and lose a tennis match. And so our guys have been able and willing to do that more than I've seen.
That's great.
And it's a really special group, and they're all doing it together. And so these guys are able to move forward at a faster rate when they have that kind of accountability. And it's special to see that they're willing and able to push each other in those ways. I think it's not easy to get over the hump and start doing that. I've encouraged these guys for years, the last 3 years probably, to do this, and it's this year that they've started really doing it. You've got to get the right culture, you've got to get the right people on the bus, and you got to get the right guys in the right seats on that bus. And so they seem to be there right now, and I think when you have that type of culture, the sky's the limit.
Well, you talk about that culture. Let's talk about some of the guys on the team. Let's start off. And I know if I start asking about individual players, we're going to leave someone important out. But we'll dive into that anyway. Let's start with some of the all-tournament selections from the Big 12 tournament. Talk about Oscar and Alexandria. So let's start right there. Luke, Devin. So who are some of the guys who have really led on this year for the team?
Yeah, it has been a team effort. We've certainly leaned on our senior captains Oscar and Marco a lot this year. They've stepped up in a big way, and obviously they've had a ton of success in doubles together, leading the charge at number one. And I thought it really came to a head this weekend. I mean, they absolutely blew two very good teams off the court. Arizona State's number one and Arizona's number one, teams that they had previously lost to, that they absolutely killed in those two sets. So rightfully deserving of the all-tournament team at number one doubles. Devin and Luke are probably the best number two team in the country. They showed that again this weekend. And I think, Devin is – I mean, he's playing number one. He's playing the guy who played from Arizona this weekend's 150 in the world right now.
Wow.
He's the highest-ranked player that's been in college in a very, very long time. He's beaten, I think, 10 top 100 players this year. It's pretty incredible what that guy's doing. And Devin was a very, very high-level match. He's right there. And so he's continuing to progress and carrying the load up top. And at his age as a sophomore, I mean, it's really very impressive. He's got an incredibly bright future. So super proud of him. And yeah, Alex, he's grown a ton. He's come in. He's just an animal of a competitor. Not necessarily used to all the different conditions that are thrown at him. The college setting, all the playing on hard courts. I mean, in Romania, you play on clay pretty much all the time. Altitude, indoors, doubles, things that he's just not as used to. He's just been willing to take on and is just really done nothing but win for us in the middle of the lineup this year, and has stepped in at three doubles and complimented Jambor very, very well. So really impressed by him. And I think the one that Jambor he got a lot of attention his first 2 years, and this year he's playing three singles, which is a spot or two. I mean, this past weekend he played two, but he's been playing three for a lot of the year, and he's played three doubles at a time where in the past he's played number one doubles. He's won up until Saturday. I think he'd won 12 or 13 matches in a row in singles. Undefeated in Big 12 play. He's won a ton in a row at three doubles, really carrying that spot for us. And so a little under the radar for us, but doing just a fantastic job. So I would say those guys that have really stood out, for us as the leaders of the pack.
You mentioned Alex. I'm curious. You see this more in sports, a mid-year transfer, right? What's it been like? What's it like integrating someone to the team, to the university, to a whole new place as the treadmill's going, right? You're competing at the same time. What's that adjustment been like for him, and how have you seen him grow?
It's not easy. I mean, and he's coming from undergraduate in Romania. Yeah. So coming to grad school in the United States and never lived outside of Romania, really hasn't competed much outside of just that region. It's not easy at all for him, for anyone to come, even at a special family-oriented place like Baylor, where I feel like, man, this place is amazing. Why wouldn't you want to be here? It's still an adjustment to be away from family, to be away from the comforts that you're used to he's 22, so for 22 years of your life. But honestly, I mean, for us, we've had some very influential mid-year enrollees each year. Devin was a January enrollee last year. We've had, Adrian, Matthias, some of our previous All-Americans, Finn Bass. All of those guys came in January. And so it happens pretty much every year. And it's a little bit unusual maybe from the outside, but for us, it feels like something very normal. Luke came in January as well. And so the guys are used to it, and they understand how hard it is, and they know, okay, we've got this core group of guys. When this guy comes in, we're going to wrap our arms around him and make sure, we all know what's going on, we understand it, so we're going to help him really ramp up fast. And you have about 12 days before your first match, so and they need him, so we need him to be firing, and it's not easy. I mean, the first few days for every guy, especially we go to Palm Springs, it's beautiful, but it's hard, for these guys, and they feel like a fish out of water, but the other guys do a fantastic job of helping them.
Part of that culture you talk about with this team.
For sure.
Yeah. Visiting with Coach Michael Woodson, talking men's tennis. The postseason beckons for men's tennis. The selection show is on Monday. Let's pivot a little bit. I want to ask you. We've talked to you on this program before, and it's funny. You start out here, you're an assistant, an interim, and all of a sudden you're kind of a veteran coach now in a lot of ways. I'm curious, as you look back at your time here, are there some ways that stand out to you that you've seen yourself grow or change as a coach, and some things that you think, here we are in 2025 after going back a few years? What are some ways ways you feel like you've grown in this role and are embracing kind of new challenges in it?
Well, I just got asked if my brother, who's 19, is my son. So,
No.
I think that's one way that I'm growing up. I guess I'm looking old. No, it's pretty amazing to look back on the past 9 years.
They're reeling over there behind the camera. Yeah, as well they should. Yeah.
No, and my brother will watch this for sure and laugh.
Yeah.
And so, no, it goes by, it goes by really fast. It's incredible to look back. We were telling stories about, some of the first few years I was here, even at practice today, and I think back, I'm like, man, I can't believe, how quickly 2016, 2017, 2018 goes by. I mean, to think that my kids, weren't born. I wasn't married. I wasn't, all these different things. So much can happen in such a short amount of time. But at the same time, you have so many amazing experiences that it can feel, depending on the day, that it has been a long time. I mean, I remember when I was like brand new, and Mac and I started on the same day, and I remember that first speech from him. I thought, this is unbelievable. I'm so new. I don't know what's going on, and now I feel like I'm like, man, I don't know any of these people that work around here. Like it's crazy to be one of the veterans. I have no idea what it's like to be Jackie, who's been here. She's probably the longest tenured person here almost, and so it's pretty amazing. But just the opportunity to grow here, not just as a coach, as a professional in this business, but to grow as a person, as a man of faith, as a husband, as a father. I mean, you're just surrounded by so many incredible people at Baylor, not just the staff members, not just the other coaches, but the community. Those that pull, the supporters of Baylor, the alums, just the individuals that live around us and support our university and our athletic department. They all have just poured so much into me and to my family that it's just a special place that I love so much that I can't imagine being able to grow and develop into the person and the coach that I am anywhere else. And so it goes by fast, clearly, but it's fun as well. I mean, nothing else I'd rather do.
Well, I laugh because you said it goes by fast, clearly, and I think about them laughing about your brother being your son. I remember the first time someone asked me if I had a kid on a team, and I was like, oh, guess I'm looking a little bit older here, but we're visiting with Coach Michael Woodson. I think, you talk about, obviously, you have played people like Coach Moore have been here 25 years in softball. You're on your way to that point, but you've coached in a national championship. You've navigated a pandemic. You've navigated changes in college athletics, and yet the standard of the program never changes. It's always a high standard that you have to meet. And I'm curious for you, what do you enjoy about that, and what are the ways that challenges and pushes you as a coach?
I want to be pushed. Challenges for me are what motivates me. I mean, I love the opportunity to be at a program that demands success. That is the standard. That is what we recruit to. That is what we're trying to do every single day. And the opportunity to build a program, that to make it better, and to have the resources and the staff around us that are all in on making it better too, to where every single day we can try to do something that will move it towards being a perennial national champion. That's my goal for this program. I will settle for nothing less than that. And the opportunity to do that that's not available everywhere. There's very few schools actually and programs that would be able to do that. And so for me, it's not my program. I'm just the steward of it right now, and the standard has been set by all of the players and coaches and staff that have built this thing up over the years, and in this current situation, I'm the one that is being held accountable to the standards of the program, and I do not want to let that slip. I want to continue to build on the amazing legacy of those that came before us, and continue to try to lift it to newer heights.
Look, we've seen that for sure, and we'll continue to as we visit with Michael Woodson. I got to ask you, Kenny Boyd shared that you're an avid reader. That's one way you, I guess, keep mentally sharp, kind of keep challenging yourself in different ways. So, do you have for us? Are there some Hall of Fame books for you that you think anyone, myself, and anyone watching, listening right now should check out?
I really thought you were going to ask me what I'm reading right now.
Okay,
well, I'm going to go. I'll answer both.
Okay.
I'll answer my own question. This is not teed up. Nobody told me to say this for anybody that's watching, but I am currently reading Once Around the Track by our old track coach.
Clyde Hart.
Once Around is Enough, or whatever the name is. I mean, it is incredible. I'm addicted, and I'm trying to get through it in 1 week, and it's really hard in the current time of year that we're in.
Sure.
With the family and the team, but amazing stories, and it's awesome. It's just it makes you really think, man. Like, I can't imagine spending 57 years in coaching, and then how you become shaped by all of your experiences and what Clyde went through, and then to be able to reflect on that. There's so much to learn from him, and I'm about halfway through, so I've got a little work to do, but it's a pretty cool book. But the best books I've ever read, Good to Great, is incredible, and it talks about what took good companies to the highest level, what made them elite, and it talks about level 5 leadership, which I think, yes, it's a business focused book, but it's applicable for everybody.
Parallels, yeah.
Yeah, very so many parallels into coaching and running a team, and so I love that book. Unreasonable Hospitality is a fantastic book that Kenny and I happen to be reading at the same time, and it just talks about being how do you go above and beyond in service, and I think it talks specifically about the restaurant business. Michelin's best, trying to take a particular restaurant to #1 in the world, but again, parallels to everything that we're trying to do, and just excelling in whatever it is that you do and paying a great attention to detail. And I'll be honest, I think Kenny's taken that and applied it to hosting all these events, and,
that's cool.
And that's why it's going so well. And then the last one I think is Range, which the first chapter talks about the difference between Tiger Woods and Roger Federer, and how they were both trained so differently, but then they became the best in the world. And everybody knows Tiger Woods' story, and how his dad had him, he was watching his dad hit golf balls in the garage from, when he was in a child's seat. Well, Roger Federer did not play just tennis when he was growing up. He played a bunch of different sports. He was an amazing athlete, and he was very well-rounded. And it talks about in the book how you are more successful at whatever you do if you have a wide variety of abilities. And I feel like I've really tried to dial it into that, and I think it's one of the reasons why I like coaching and why I excel in coaching is because I don't have to do this. I have a lot of different skills and tools that I have honed over time, and I coach because I'm passionate about mentoring young men, and my avenue happens to be through tennis. And so I really was moved by that book, and try to make sure that I don't become too much of an expert in one particular area, that your value has to do with your ability to do many different things. And so those are probably my top 3.
So Range, Good to Great, Unreasonable Hospitality, and we all need to check out Clyde Hart's book as well.
Once Around is Enough. I think
Once Around
right.
is enough, yeah. Visiting with Coach Mike Woodson here on the Baylor Coaches Show. Again, we're not coming to you from Rudy's tonight. We are here on campus this evening. Appreciate everyone working to make that pivot. Let's turn your attention again to what's ahead here. Monday, you're going to know where you go. We're talking about the fact that you're kind of right there on the cusp of hosting. I feel like obviously there's a lot of good programs out there. I'd like to think the schedule, as you said, a top schedule in the nation, might be a mark in your favor. I mean, probably the Baylor name is a mark in your favor as well. But I guess this team's ready for whatever comes their way.
No, we're more than ready for whatever's coming. Tennis is interesting in that it's a little bit different than other sports where they go. There's an algorithm. It's a point system. They go straight down the list. And the only time that you'll see teams flip ahead of other programs is if you own a head-to-head win over them. And so we are kind of set where we're at with the number of points and how we did against other teams and what they do this week, the Big Ten tournament, the West Coast Conference tournament, all of these different things will define whether we move ahead of one or two of the teams that are in front of us or not. And so as weird as that sounds, we're big Nebraska fans, we're big Illinois fans, big Pep fans this week. And so, Illinois beat Oregon today. That helps us. We need a couple more victories throughout the week. And there's a world where we can end up as the 15th overall seed. There's a world where we're 17 or 18, and by rule, if it's within 400 miles, we'll be going to Texas, which I don't hate at all. I mean, I think they're a fantastic program, but and they have a great team this year. But I think we match up well with them. So certainly no stranger to the Longhorns.
Well, and certainly, you said with the schedule this team has played, no one is going to show you something you haven't seen
that's
at this
sure.
juncture.
We definitely know the level.
You definitely know the level for sure. As you kind of turn the page, how much is it? Is it actually turning the page? What as you talk to the guys, the message of whether it's improving in certain areas, but also kind of building on what you've done. What's that kind of yin and yang look like?
Yeah, we have a ton of confidence because they've won a lot this year. And so I don't really have to worry about talking to the guys in a way that's going to break them down, which is a very nice place to be. That's not always the case. But for them, it's, hey, you guys are actually ready to receive the message. Each of you has a particular pain point, and if that gets pushed hard enough, your weakness comes out. And so we need to work on those particular areas. Some of them have to do with practice and training. Some of them have to do when the bell rings and the match starts. And let's get to those right away. Let's just sit down, let's hash out exactly what that is, and let's go and work on it. Because the tennis, and when you're totally locked in, engaged, focused, on the task at hand, like we're good to go, things are good. And what is it that throws us off in that moment? And it usually comes back to their mind. Something triggers something in their mind that will throw them off. And it's different for each guy. And so we're really dialing in on each individual player, working on those things so that they'll have an opportunity to have success when the bell rings next weekend.
We talked about some of the guys individually, but as we wind down, I'll ask you again, when you looked for leadership on this team, not just play on the court, but leadership as a whole part of that, where are some of the places you kind of look on a stage like this?
I mean, you have to look at the top of the lineup, and the way that we show up at the top, it really does trickle down. So Devin, Oscar Z, those guys have done a fantastic job of leading from the front. And you look to your seniors. We've got 4 seniors that are really willing to do anything for the team, Oscar, Marco, Quentin, and Justin. And so those guys have been fantastic for us. But I really try to pay attention to where are our guys leading when nobody else is watching, or when we're not really calling on leadership. Who's stepping up and doing something? And I've seen a lot of guys really willing to take that on and find opportunities to positively influence their teammates, to hold them accountable, to push them, to pick them up when they're down. I've seen that from guys like Luke, guys like Alex. LJ as a freshman has done a fantastic job of that this year. You would never know he was a freshman if you, other than looking at him, physically, you wouldn't know by interacting with him that this is his first year here. And so really, really pleased with the way that these guys are stepping up to help each other and to push the program forward. They all know they have the same standard that we do, and they want to live up to it. And I think they have some unfinished business going into next weekend.
Yeah, that's exciting. You've really painted a great picture as we've been visiting together of just kind of how self-motivated this team is and that standard.
For sure. It's one of the first teams I've had in a while that I don't feel like I need to be there, and they will do a really good job.
That's a good place to be.
It's a great place to be. I think we always talk about, like, let's try to coach ourselves out of a job. At the end of the day, these guys want to go on. They want to be professionals. They're going to eventually not need us. Like, at some point, we want to become their biggest fan and just kind of sit in the stands and applaud and be proud, of what they're doing. And I think we're starting to get to that point. Once in a while, there's a couple of guys that probably need some attention, but this group is a special one for sure.
So the selection show on Monday, y'all getting together. What's the plans to get together and watch where you're going to go?
I believe that we're doing it at the Herd Welcome Center. It's at 4:30 Central Time on Monday. So we're going to try to get together, hopefully open it up to the public, have some cookies and snacks, and find out where we're going to go. It should be, it's going to be exciting. I feel like we're either going to host or we're going to go to Texas, so it's probably 50-50 at this point. I guess there's a world where Texas A&M hosts. If that's the case, we may go there. But excited for the possibilities, knowing that we'll be either at home or close to home, and hopefully can compete in front of a good Baylor crowd.
Absolutely. Well, we're all pulling for Waco, but we know you'll be great wherever you go here. So that's Monday at 4:30 at the Herd Welcome Center. Well, Coach, best of luck to you. Appreciate you being with us. It's always good to talk to you, and excited for what's ahead. And hope to see you back here in middle of May here, playing once again on that home court, if not before then.
No, for sure. We're really looking forward to it. Thank you so much for having me.
Be a lot of fun. Coach Michael Woodson, Baylor men's tennis, with the postseason looming just ahead here. Again, a reminder, we are brought to you by Central National Bank. Central National Bank, your leading independent bank. Also, Baylor, Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine Orthopedics, reminding you don't let pain slow you down. We diagnose and treat sports-related injuries and provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes.